Hello and welcome to episode 48 of the Ski Instructor Podcast. My name's Dave Burrows and I'm the director and owner of SnowPro Ski School based here in Val d'Illiers in Switzerland. Talking of Val d'Illiers, there's a massive storm going through the valley today, which I'm guessing is good because if it's raining that much here, it's going to be snowing somewhere. And talking of snow, I'm off to Cervinia on Friday to go and get in my first turns of the season, which is much later than I would normally have liked to have done it. But as you can tell by the gap between this podcast and the one previously, I've just been so crazy busy with the ski school that I haven't had a chance to do anything. So yeah, that's been the picture of my autumn really, is running around selling ski lessons to people. That's kind of what my role in the ski school is these days. So I've been hugely busy with that. That said, I've got at least 5 or 6 episodes in the can already waiting to be edited and to go out. So not short of material through the ski season. I'm off to interview someone else. I've got another interview next week and one the week after. So plenty of content coming up. It's more the question of just me having the time to edit it. Reflecting back, actually, I've just my accountant just sent me back the accounts for the ski school last year and got me thinking to this time last year when it all looked very, very uncertain. If a lot of you will remember that we were still worrying about a third wave of COVID and whatnot last year, that didn't turn out to be anything at all, and it wasn't anywhere near as serious. And I'm hoping that all of this talk of kind of energy crisis and all that sort of stuff is also going to fizzle out in exactly the same way that the COVID chat did. I'm a little bit tired, if I'm honest with you, of having the media and the papers and all that sort of stuff just like selling me endless fear pornography. I think we could all do with a big dose of positivity and just get on with our lives and start concentrating on having some fun again, which will be very pleasant. Talking of fun, so episode 48 features Simon Jones. Now, I had a lovely conversation with Simon Jones. Simon is originally British, but he's moved out to Canada a long time ago, and he's a permanent resident there now. He runs he's the head freestyle coach for the Kimberley freestyle team. So he spends his days skiing moguls in the park and various other bits and pieces, but he also splits his time between being on snow in the winter and teaching golf in the summer. We had a lovely chat and this first half, so the interview was quite a long one, so I've split it into 2, so you're going to hear a part 1 and a part 2. And in this first part, we sort of talked about his journey and how he ended up in Canada. But we started off because we were having some trouble with technology, as usual. And it took us ages to get the podcast started. And so that led me into a bit of a rant about a recent trip to the UK and just the sheer complexity of trying to do anything over there. Was just, I found at that time, completely extraordinary. So that's kind of the first thing that you'll hear, and I really hope that you enjoy this interview with Simon, and next time you'll hear my voice will be on episode 49, which is part 2, and I'll try and get that out for November. Enjoy your day wherever you are, and I very much hope that you will get on snow soon. Speak to you soon. Bye. Have we got sound? We've got sound, yeah, and I can control it from here. That's perfect. Right, say something again. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. How are you?
Oh, this is perfect. Finally, I'm really sorry about that.
No, it's all good, mate. It's all good.
I'm really sorry about that. It's like just technology, man. Just technology. I'm just. I was in the UK recently. I think I'm just going to start the podcast like this. I was in the UK recently, and I got to a place where, in my life, where we hired a car, right, from we hired a car from the car hire centre in Luton.
Right.
And I got in the car. I could work out roughly how to turn it on. It was like a 2022 Golf, right? Recent model year.
Yeah.
Me and my wife honestly couldn't work out how to operate any of it. Other than that, all there was like a gear stick. No, it wasn't automatic. Gear stick, 2 blank screens, and a start button. So we couldn't work out how to use the aircon, how to use the blower, like how to change the radio. Like just for 3 days, we're just fiddling with this thing. It's like, why is it so complicated? Couldn't it just be? Couldn't it just be that we have, like a button to do this thing, like in all other cars? Why does it have to be so complex? And it's
definitely. I think they're just trying to outdo each other with how fancy it could be now, right? Yeah.
It's crazy. And then, so we then take this car, right? We take this car to one of the train station car parks. And in Switzerland, normally you go to a parking machine, you put some money in it, get a ticket, and whatever, stick it in your car. That's apparently old technology now in the UK. So when you go to the UK now, you can't pay with cash at the cash machine.
Right.
The ticket machine. You have to download an app, give it all your info, all of this, that, and the other, and pay by card. What if I'm 70 years old? I don't know how to do all that.
No, but you're right though, because like my son, he's 12. We got a new car recently, and same thing, right? I have no idea what's going on. I probably need to read the manual, but that's probably electronic now anyway. Within 5 minutes, he's figured out how to program the seats and got all the stereo, everything all done. Yeah.
The last one on my rant is that we went to, and maybe this will make you laugh, maybe it won't, but we went to this place called Paradise Wildlife Park, which is pretty cool. It's a little zoo in some forest near Broxbourne or something, and took the daughter there. It was great, and we went there. It was like a Thursday. There was no one there. It was deserted. Thursday in May. Right? There was no one, and it was freezing cold. And we walk up to walk through empty rows of those barriers. Right, walk up to a deserted ticket office. There's a girl in there. And I was like, "Hello, we're on holiday. We'd like 3 people to come into the zoo, please." And she was like, "Have you booked?" I was like, "No, I'm here. I'm ready to go. I haven't booked. Can I buy 3 tickets, please?" And she's like, "Oh, we don't sell tickets here at the ticket counter." She says, "You have to book in advance." I said, at that point, I start feeling like my dad, right? Like I'm just like, right, okay, easy. I don't, obviously there's something I'm not getting. And I said, "But I'm standing here right in front of you. All you got to do is send me a ticket and I just walk through the door and we're all good." And she's like, no, you can't do that. You have to book it on the internet and then you have to show us this voucher. And I said, just so I'm clear, I've got to go online now on my phone and I've got to book these tickets on the internet and using a card or whatever, and then show you a booking confirmation. She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Do you know how ridiculous you sound? I'm trying to give you money, right?" So presumably at some point, someone has done an analysis on the cost of having cash, right, and the cost of the cost of having someone do that, and the cost of fraud and people running off with £20 notes and all that sort of stuff, and has just decided that this is the way to do it. And irrespective of the effect on the customer, like the unwitting customer who's me, who is there trying to give them 60 quid to go to the stupid zoo, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've repeated this story. I don't know what kind of terrible PR is that, right?
You'd think even if that's the case, she probably could have just done it there and then for you.
Yeah. There's no one there.
In the booth or whatever.
It's just me. And it's weird. So I kind of, although I was frustrated at the time, you take away certain lessons from these things, and we're going to talk later about hospitality skills and all that sort of stuff. But the process for me being able, for those people to extract money from me in order for me to go and look at the animals. It's got to be as easy as possible. And the same with operating the car, right? I'm not going to go and buy a VW Golf anymore, right? Because it's too complex for me. I'm only 45, right? And the same thing for buying a ticket at the train station. It's just overly complex. It's very strange. The same thing applies when you go to England and you try to order a coffee. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but here in Switzerland, you go into a cafe and you order a coffee and they deliver you like a perfect coffee. And that's just how it is, right? And that's what you get unless you ask for something different. In England, if you go into a coffee shop, they're like, oh yeah, like what do you want? And they've got like 6 million sort of options. Do you want it long, short, black, cappuccino, frappuccino, like with latte and other stuff? Like, what? Just serve me a decent coffee. That's all I want. I want simplicity. And I'm trying to give you money, right? It's unbelievable. Fantastic. So I'm like sitting there thinking
you're sounding a bit like Victor Meldrew.
Oh, I know, and it's terrible. It's really bad. But I don't want to be that guy, right? But the long and the short of it is just like it shouldn't be that complex to extract 60 quid from me to go and see the zoo. You know, it should be so simple.
Totally.
And the same you can apply to ski lessons.
It's gone too far the other way, right? Now instead of making it easy, it's become too difficult, like you said, right? They've gone past that point, right?
I think so. And I don't really understand to what end that serves. All it serves is to frustrate people like me who don't understand how it works.
Yeah. And you think of somebody that's probably even older than you, right? Then it's just they're not even going in, are they? Yeah.
No, well, they couldn't, right? What if a pensioner came along and they had to say, "Oh, here you go, dear. How are you going to do?" And she's got no idea how to do that.
Yeah. Nothing. Not a chance.
It's strange because I take from that. I was like, great, that's brilliant because that's a really good lesson from me for all these people that ring me up and want to book ski lessons and stuff like that. So I want to make it as easy as possible. Just tell me what you want. Leave the rest to me. I'll sort it out, and someone will invoice you later. Right? It's not. Don't worry. It's all booked. You don't have to worry about anything. It's a really good lesson for anyone who's in business. It's like you think that you're adding this complexity to serve the client's needs better, but actually they're all just really pissed off.
Yeah, it's like, well, I think. I mean, Matt, look at it. We'll go deep already. I mean, think what it is. People are trying to cover so many bases now, right? Between all the different things that people could have, whether it's allergies, different complaints, you name it, right?
Yeah.
And then you end up with a product now that's trying to like cater for too many things, right?
I think so. What's it like in Canada? Do you have that? Has that come there yet? Or
I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not quite as bad. I mean, I think things are still, like you said, it's still a little bit more straightforward. You know, you go in the coffee shop, really, you kind of got 4 or 5 options. That's about it, really. So, it's not quite as intense as that. I think even dropping down into the States, it's a little bit crazier. But no, I think we're still pretty relaxed here. You know, this is this being a ski town, it's a little bit more. It's not quite as crazy as it could be in the city, right?
Yeah. Oh, talking of Canadian things, I was in Vevey yesterday. They do every year. They have something called the Street Food Festival, and they have like little shacks and vans and street food and all that from all these different countries. It's crazy. So I ended up eating like Iranian and Canadian. So they had the first one I saw was like a stand, and it had, forgive me if I butcher the pronunciation, but they had a poutine stand. Are you there? Oh dear, have I lost you? Oh no, hang on.
Hello, mate.
Are you still there? Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Look at us, God. Hey, we're doing well.
Yeah,
does this sound okay for you?
Yeah. No, we're good.
Oh, perfect. You know what? I've gone back onto the laptop there because somebody just called me on my phone and it cut you off.
Oh, no. Fair enough. We're not having... listener, we are having terrible luck. Like, we thought... I've had 2 calls since I picked this up. We also couldn't work out how to work out Zoom. And the Zoom was going... It had routed itself somehow onto a different microphone... circuit, is that the right word? God knows. And I'm just I don't know. I think we're
we're like two old boys in the care home here, mate. Let's go.
It's disgraceful. Anyway, the point is that I can't remember what I was talking about.
Oh, you were saying about Canada,
yeah. So we had the street food festival, and and so the first stand that we had was a poutine stand, right? There was like a oh man, that is like it's like crack for me, you know, like I'm a sucker for that dirty food. And if you haven't had it, listener, you should definitely bring it into your life. There's a Canadian guy in Champery who runs a kind of burger shack, Burger Joe in Champery, if anyone knows it. And he does a poutine, but he does it with like pulled pork on top, and that's just filthy dirty food. It's so good, and it's just unbelievable.
I think the pulled pork one's pretty tough to beat, I must admit. Yeah,
man,
we've got a local brewery here in the next town, and they literally have a full I'm going to say 12, 14 options of poutine on the menu, man. to go with the beer as well. So pretty deadly.
I would be so fat if I lived in Canada.
Definitely a bit of a treat for sure.
Oh man, yeah, tell me about it. Anyway, right, so I want to know how you ended up, because I've got your backstory, I've got it, but let's tell the listener, how did you end up in Canada? Because you're not Canadian, right? I can tell from your accent.
Yeah, definitely. Originally born in Liverpool, and then moved more into the northwest. So if anybody knows, sort of Frodsham, Helsby, that area there, going towards Chester. Mm-hmm. And high school teacher was fanatical about most sports, but one of them was skiing. And went on a couple of ski holidays and thought, this is just fantastic. I still remember, I think the first couple of instructors that we had was in Austria, and at the time thought these guys were just so cool, and I guess that kept a lasting impression on me. Our local dry slope was Runcorn Dry Ski Slope, and if anybody's been there, it's probably about 100 yards, typical dry ski slope. Uh-huh. Definitely wasn't cash rich by any means. I think we had the old style decks before even the new stuff came in. But thought it was amazing. You'd go from the top to the bottom, try not to leave it too late to stop, otherwise you'd end up in the car park. Which as most kids do, we all try to do that anyway. I guess just fell in love with it. Went for several years. Always kind of stayed with the skiing, and then real life gets in the way then with different jobs and things. And actually, I was doing a lot of golf at the same time as well. Became like an assistant pro golf around the same time. But again, just decided, there wasn't enough money in those sports at the time. Went and got a real job for several years, working in software industry. Uh-huh. And during that time, got back into the skiing in a big way, and decided, really, if I had a dream, it would be to teach skiing, to teach golf. And the job I had at the time, it was entertaining people playing golf, so that kept the golf game in good shape. And I had the luxury of being able to work remotely even in those days. So decided to go off and do, in that day, it was the Basie Foundation first. I don't know if you remember that. Uh-huh. So went and did that. And when you look back now, I was just looking through some of your podcasts. Phil Smith was the instructor for that, so not a bad guy to get into the good one. Right? So that was pretty awesome, and actually met a few people on that course that I stayed in touch with, and then went and did what was then the Basie 3. Mm-hmm. Gareth Roberts, do you remember Gareth Roberts? Yeah. And then I think a few of the other people that have appeared on your podcast, I was just looking to hear. Who did you have on recently? Peter Cool. I think I met him years ago. Wow. So I enjoyed listening to that podcast. But I think a lot of the guys that you probably grew up with were part of that then. I think in those days when I was doing the Basie 3, you had to do the ski module and then the teaching module. And it was pretty much a who's who of Basie in those days. I think maybe like Giles Lewis, those guys, they were there. Mo, I don't know if you can't remember his last name now. Yeah, you probably know them. Yeah. It was pretty inspiring in those days to see all these guys that had come through the system. They all had their own ski schools in various different parts of Europe. And so definitely got into the Basie there in a big way. And went and did a few interskis, when they needed more instructors at Christmas time and Easter, just to kind of test my foot in the water and see what I felt. And again, I had a great experience on those trips. Really, really made me think, that this would be the life. And one of the years that I went and worked, got on really well with the guy that was running the ski school for interski out there, and he was retiring. And he said, I think you'd be great to take this job over from me next year. So I go home, say to the wife, I think we should pack up and go become a ski instructor in Europe. She thought I was nuts at the time. But the more and more we thought about it, we were kind of getting engaged with it. We both fancied to do something different. We both had successful careers in the UK, and we're happy to have a challenge. We always talked about working abroad. And then at the same time, I kind of convinced her that if we were going to go and work in Europe for the rest of our lives, that we were probably unlikely to go ski in North America. Mm-hmm. So I persuaded her to go on a holiday to Canada.
Okay.
and we went out there. And this was kind of during the same time where I was thinking of going back to Italy to kind of explore that job. I'd also gone for a job interview in the Pyrenees for a ski school there.
Okay.
We go to Canada, just fall in love with the place. We're going to probably touch on the customer service, but we've gone for years of ski holidays where you're fighting with everybody to get on the bus to get to the resort or whatever you're doing. We get out there in Canada. I can still remember the day. We're standing outside the hotel. This beautiful luxury coach pulls up. Guy gets out, puts my wife and my skis on the bus. We get on the bus and she's like, "Oh, this is pretty good." and that was really our kind of taste of it. No queues, no lineups. We get to ski these beautiful mountains. Everybody's so friendly. There's no language barrier. And we kind of looked at each other and said, well, why wouldn't we make it here? Yeah. So a guy that I'd met on one of the Basie courses, he moved to Banff as well at the same time. He put me in touch with a ski school there. They were like, pretty much, you could start tomorrow. At the time, they really loved the idea of having people from lots of different countries. Mm-hmm. So that was a no-brainer. And then applied for a job at the local golf course in Banff in Canmore as well. Same thing. Yeah, we'd love to have you. And honestly, it sounds very simple now, but it really was as easy as that in the day. I guess the biggest challenge was making that leap. I remember us going home, telling both sets of parents that we were moving to Canada, and I think they thought we were having some kind of breakdown. Yeah. They couldn't understand what the hell we were doing. Yeah. And that was where are we now? Like 18 years ago, I guess now. Yeah.
Was that predates, presumably, because it's quite hard now to get like working visas for Canada. You have to be under a certain age and all that sort of stuff. I presume things are a little bit easier then, no?
Yeah, 100%. We actually got in on a last student work visa kind of program, I think, before we were too old. Mm-hmm. And again, 100%. That it's changed a hell of a lot now. In those days, we could get a 2-year visa through an employee. So with both my wife and myself working, we'd just go on each other's visas all the time, and it was really very straightforward in those days. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm. And are you Canadian now? You nationalised yourself?
It's funny. We're just in the process. I'm thinking by the end of this year here now we should get the official ceremony. Some friends of ours who applied a few months before us have just got in.
Oh, cool.
So we've been residents for quite a while, but. We're on that process. I think it's something we've always wanted to do, but again, as we're kind of talking, it was quite a difficult process in the past. One of the things with COVID, which was good for something like citizenship, is it's all gone online. It's a lot more straightforward now than it was.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Cool. Because my Swiss nationality has just come through actually, which is really, really cool. And that's been a very long time. It's taken a long time, a lot of paperwork, a lot of kind of tests and all that sort of stuff, which is it's reassuring, but it's worth having, and I'm quite proud of it, to be honest with you. I feel, definitely. I feel more at home in Switzerland than I do in the UK. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think we're that case for sure. Our son's got both passports, and there's still a part of Jason Bourne in me that thinks it's pretty cool to travel with all these different passports. So
yeah.
But no, I think it's just peace of mind, and I think like you said, right, you've integrated yourself, into the country, into the community. So yeah, I think it's just a natural thing to get done, and then and you never have to worry about it again. That's the other thing, right? Once you've got it, you've got it.
Yeah, no, that's right. And so you've been a couple of different resorts, Sunshine, Lake Louise, and now you've kind of landed in Kimberley, right?
Yeah. So I moved to Kimberley about 6 years ago now. But yeah, worked in Sunshine Village for a long time, and then Lake Louise after that, and then we moved out here, which was definitely a bit of a change of scenery from Banff and Canmore, and now in Kimberley. So there's a ski resort in the town itself. And then we're about an hour away from Fernie, which a lot of people have probably heard about. And Panorama is about an hour the other direction as well.
Okay.
So lots of good skiing in a short area.
Yeah. We swapped some when we did have the technology working. We did swap some video, and it looks basically like you walk outside your back door, and there'll be like bears and stuff there. Like it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
where you live.
It definitely is. It sounds a bit cliche, but yeah, we're pretty lucky here. It's it's still very raw. Very natural here. We've got a lot of bears going on right now, actually. So. From the back of my house here, we've got a small hill behind us which has one of the telecommunications towers on. But when it snows in the winter, I can skin up to the top of that and ski all the way back down into your backyard.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But you're not normally skiing in the backcountry. You're normally doing you specialised in freestyle. Is that right?
Last couple of years I've been definitely getting into that freestyle world a little bit on the coaching. I think I think what's been nice at Kimberley is managed to find a little blend of everything. Last season was doing some CSIA, level 1 kind of courses, then doing men's, ladies' day kind of private lessons, and then freestyle coaching mixed into that as well. So a little bit of everything, which I think, to be honest, is probably what I've been searching for.
Yeah.
It's not to say that you don't enjoy doing some of the lessons now, but I find it quite demanding if you're just teaching adults permanently and vice versa. So I think just having a mix of that certainly makes it a bit more. I think it makes it more creative for myself, and I think it's just more enjoyable. Yeah.
No, that is cool. No, it's nice to have a mix. It kind of keeps you fresh. If you just do the same thing over and over and over, you can get a bit stale, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you just see different things, obviously ski instructor, when you're teaching those courses, quite methodical in terms of, you've got certain criteria to deliver to the candidates in order for them to pass. And then, in the freestyle world, it's a little bit more open. But again, there's definitely a program to follow through their instruction. But, different aspects, right? I think in the freestyle world, it's for most people out in Canada anyway, if you're in a freestyle program, it's really split between what we would call a park and then more professional kind of bumps skiing. So definitely different skills and attributes, but they all blend into one. And I find that I end up teaching the kids in freestyle some more fundamental skills that I'm teaching in skiing, and then I'll have a ladies' day program where I'm like, hey, you know what, we're just going to try and see if we can do some 180s here just to work on some balance. So I think it all just flows through back and two, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is one of the things that when we were speaking about freestyle, it's very interesting because it's one of the most popular things that we do within our ski school, but only really because it's driven by my colleague Max, who just loves a bit of freestyle, like it's his thing. And over the last couple of years, 3-4 years, he's kind of created this awesome little club that they have on a like a Sunday. They go out all day and they just kind of do whatever freestyle guys do. It makes me sound rather dated, but it's basically a day in the park, and the kids absolutely love it. And then he tends to get when we have school groups and stuff, all of the groups kind of want to ski with him because he's just like, he can just do all this kind of amazing stuff that some of the other guys in the school can't necessarily do or don't want to do. And it got me onto thinking that it's kind of just not really taught enough in general within, I think, the ski instructor systems. Although I'm only speaking with experience of I'm only really speaking with experience of kind of deep experience of the British system and experience of the Swiss system, although it is within the Swiss system a lot. So you can't get through to a decent level in the Swiss system without knowing how to do some pretty cool tricks, and it's part of it. But in my experience also going through the British system, there was no freestyle whatsoever in that. Absolutely none. And you could get all the way to level 4 and Eurotest without ever having seen a snow park, which I think it's pretty bad, actually. I hear it. Yeah, it's considering the demands of the market.
Because actually, my probably first, real. I mean, you'd see things when you were out in resorts, but it was probably in the Snowdome in Tamworth where, that's probably where I started to do some of this stuff. We had a couple of people there that were, really, really good at it. And I think it was a Thursday night, something like that, Wednesday or a Thursday night, they'd set up this park and, we'd start off with, doing it with some shorter skis and then just trying to master it with some bigger skis. And I think that's where it started for me. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And at the time, no one else could do some of the things. So you just thought that you stood out compared to some of the other people you were skiing with. It was as simple as that. And then I think I definitely left it for a little while, and then you get back into it depending on which resort you're working in and depending on what kind of park they have, right? Sunshine's got a huge one now. Lake Louise is massive park, but I think it's definitely more prevalent here in Canada. Definitely,
yeah. Is it part of the? We'll go on in a minute to talk about what's within CSIA, but. Because I'd love a sort of a summary overview of what it looks like. But is it a big part of the system there? Like you've got to be able to have freestyle skills or to get through?
No, not necessarily as a criterion. It's definitely coming in more and more, as part of the level. I think as you rise through the levels and when you start to do some off-piste and more kind of free run skiing, then that element is in there for sure. What CSIA did is, at the moment if you were going to do your level 2, your prerequisite would be to have passed a level 1 ski course, or you could do a level 1 park and pipe course. So there is that element now where you could come into the system through a freestyle option. So that's something that's changed in recent years.
Yeah, well, that is cool.
And then as a right now for myself, I'm a level 1 course conductor, but I could also be a level 1 freestyle course conductor as well for CSIA. So, that's something as well that's been opened up a lot more in recent years. Yeah,
there's definitely a demand from the market for it. For freestyle.
It's definitely big out here. Every hill that I know of here has, they've obviously got the kind of core race program as well, but almost all of them now have their own freestyle team that have a big mountain team as well. And there's some overlaps in those areas. Like the freestyle club I worked for last year had a big mountain club as well, and so a lot of the kids would move in and out of those programs. It wasn't just, hey, we're just going to hit rails all day kind of thing. It would really be everywhere. And I think that's what, in the freestyle world, that's what I've seen is it's really, those kids are getting exposed to every element of skiing, right?
Yeah.
It's not in a box. The box is just huge.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm guessing the only thing that you're not doing is like piste performance, right? Because freestyle encompasses a huge amount of stuff
Yeah, definitely. But I guess the reason I was hired into the programs in recent years is because of my skiing background. So what was happening a little bit is we had kids that could do a 360, but in order to get to the park, they were still snow plowing, right? So it was my job, to bring in some more fundamentals and make sure they just didn't skip that and went straight into we can do jumps and different things, but we still need to be able to get some performance and understand how the ski works, right?
Yeah, for sure. And also, I suppose if they're then going to be exposed to mogul skiing, you've got to have some pretty serious fundamentals. That doesn't, all the mogul skiers that I know can ski pretty well. They're not kind of one-dimensional in that respect.
Yeah, definitely. And if you take it into the sort of the guys that are getting paid for a living to jump off the side of cliffs, all of those guys have just had huge kind of backgrounds within either racing or freestyle skiing, right? So I think trying to make that all-rounded skier, I think that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah,
they can do everything. They can do everything. I've got as I'm talking to you here, I can look outside and my neighbours. One of the kids, I'm thinking he's around about 10 now, trampolining every day. He's just got back from a water park program that's being run by BC Freestyle, into the water ramps, and this kid's doing backflips and everything, at age 10. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is pretty unbelievable. We kind of no fear at that age.
No fear whatsoever, and that unfortunately is what happens as we all get a little bit older now. I mean, I certainly the way our program worked in freestyle out here is we have some entry level, and then we're going into high performance, and the athletes in the high performance have already well exceeded my limitations in the park.
Yeah, that's that's like the sort of the ski instructor's trick, isn't it? When the kids get too good, I'll just film you from the side or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's but also just unbelievable to watch.
That's great,
like you said, no fear, and then what I see then is then we'll go and ski in some of the bowls and some of the steeper terrain, and the kids are taking lines and jumping off rock bands. It's unbelievable, right? Because they've just got that that overall control or that overall trust in the skis. And I think that's what I've seen, and you see that from the entry level now all the way through. When they can ski the whole mountain, I just think people just excel so much.
Yeah, I agree, and it's lovely to be able to give them that, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. It's a really cool thing. Let's carry on down this road a little bit, because I'm curious to know a little bit more about the mogul skiing while I've got someone that is involved in that. But when you're teaching kids about freestyle, like the mogul element of freestyle, are you doing that within that kind of very specific kind of mogul, like those formed moguls that they use in the World Cup, or are you doing the kind of the Canadian free expression in moguls thing?
Putting my Swiss hat on right in the middle, I would say.
Okay.
A little bit of everything. We have a panorama, a fully dedicated mogul run, which is certainly up there. This is where people will be doing the provincial kind of tournaments on. So it's definitely tough. It's icy. It's pretty hard. The moguls are pretty pretty large. That would be fair to say. But then we'd be training in there, but then also training outside on the hill. In more of that free element, like you said. Yeah, so it's that's where I think there's a bit of a blend in terms of doing some more freestyle mogul skiing, I would say, and then proper competitive bump skiing, different, right? In the Canadian system, or I guess if let's say for example it's a Wednesday and I'm doing a ladies program at Kimberley, we're going to be skiing bumps in a lot more of a, what I would say, ski instructor style, which is more rounded turns.
Yeah.
Maybe not skiing every bump, but skiing every other bump, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then fast forward then to Saturday, and if I was in the bump field with the athletes, then we're into more zipline skiing, straight back, very little movement whatsoever.
Yeah. What's the let's take the kind of the recreational midweek crowd. What are the things that you give them within the mogul fields that seem to make the most difference to their skiing in that kind of environment?
Yeah, I'm sure we all pick up our own little drills here and there. I'll often start with trying to get them not to ski that zipper line. I think that's in everybody's idea or mentality. This is, if I'm a good bump skier, then I just have to do a zip line like you saw in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
So trying to dial that back a little bit, we'll maybe work on turning on every third bump, and then just bringing that field narrower and narrower as we get going in. I like to do a lot of bump skiing without poles, which might be contrary to what people might believe. Really working on highlighting the feet and highlighting the movement. I'll really be working on maybe just getting them really moving on that lateral balance, right? Whether trying to get them to feel a little bit more forward and vice versa, a little bit more back. What does that do to the turn? What does that do to the ski as they're skiing? Working on rhythm a lot. There's been more than one ladies camp that I've done in bumps where we've all had to pick a theme tune or some kind of song of the day to work to, right? Finding that rhythm, finding that I really think works a lot for people. I think in terms of that midweek recreational, it's making that turn a lot more rounder than what people expect it to be. I find people are just still slamming on the brakes and just trying to find too much edge performance through the bump. So really softening that off, almost going to the opposite end of that spectrum and making it more skidded if that was possible. Yeah. Those
kind of round lines really. I don't know. The thing I usually work through is kind of different lines. I think that gives. Yeah. I think once you can see, I'm sure I've said this on the pod before. I'm sorry, listener, if I repeat myself, but the one that I've always found really, really useful is to explain the different lines. And I think once you start to see the lines, then you can start to execute the different moves that you need in different situations.
100%. There's certainly, myself and another instructor, we've often worked together on a bumps clinic where, we'll just be explaining, skiing in the trough and skiing on top of the bump, just trying to change where you're turning all the time. As you go through that. Certainly, I like to teach. I certainly find that I have a lot of good results with people actually leaving the snow. So a little bit more of a donkey kick, that kind of idea. I don't know if that's something you've used at all.
No. Explain that to me a little bit more.
Yeah, so it'd just be, really getting the tip of the ski to engage over the bump. Yeah, so actually certainly leaving the snow if you can. Yeah. But even just simulating that or initiating that is enough just to get the tips to engage more and make that turn rounded.
Yeah, that kind of bringing the tips back, kind of the feet underneath. It's like a reverse cycling movement almost. It's a really useful move. That it's a weird one as well because you don't use that really well. You do actually kind of do use it in some places if you know about that move, but if you're a recreational skier, you won't know that move. You have no idea that it was even possible to do that thing. But you're right. It's a kind of sometimes you feel it in powder, but not that often. No, that kind of feeling of the everything coming sort of up underneath you, and every now and then when you're kind of railing it on a piste, like you can get that feeling of the ski, doing a really big cross under almost, and the ski's coming back underneath you. Every now and then you get that.
Yeah. In the bumps, it's it can be just a really good timing phase as well, right? So when you're doing something like that, or you're going to leave the snow, people are definitely in a much more better timing and better sequence of events.
Yeah.
Lots of little things like that. Sometimes we will still go out. We'll paint a few dots here and there. Again, like you said, working on different lines. At Kimberley, there's a lot of bumps, so it's very. I'd say we build it up. We're starting on something that's a little bit less steep. It's still bumps, but we really. What we've got green bumps all the way through to double black bumps. So it's a really nice progression that you can just work on through the day. That's definitely something, I think if you've got that on the hill, it's such a big benefit, right?
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
And then when you're working with the guys who are doing more kind of zipper, a zip line or a really direct line, that kind of more what you see in the World Cup kind of mogul stuff. Presumably that is about, I'm presuming that they are using a lot of there was certainly a lot of kind of up and down movement for compression, but in addition, presumably they're looking for opportunities for edging to control speed in an environment where there isn't that much opportunity to control speed.
You've nailed it there. It's it's a different extent, but that timing is just huge. For those guys, the really engaging the core. It's very much a straight back, making sure that the upper body isn't collapsing. That's the biggest thing. That we see. Very easy just for you to let your weight move from the hips forward. So really just trying to keep that back a lot straighter than what you would see maybe in a ski instructor bump session. And really working on that core and the knees and the ankles. We'll do a lot of, exercises working on ankle flexion. Working on, pushing the feet forward, pulling the feet back, just really trying to get that whole joint area there working. A lot of conversations in the boot itself and what are the feet doing, that sort of tripod, I should say, the big foot, little toe, heel, working on all of those. It's a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more internal would be the word you're looking for with that type of athlete. These guys are skiing hard, they're skiing fast. And then we're going to throw in also the element now that we have to do a trick in between all that, right? Now it's getting prepared for the jump. What kind of speed are you taking into the entrance? What speed are you taking exiting that bump and then getting back into the next set of bumps? So it's anticipation. We'll often talk about it as like playing chess, right? You're thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead, literally all the time, right? So, a lot of psychological things there. I mean, again, we're dealing with people who are younger, not fear of falling, not fear of doing any damage to themselves. It's a different, a whole different psyche than the Wednesday when maybe I'm teaching. We have a men's bumps and bruise lesson on a Wednesday, and majority of those guys are in the late 40s, 50s. Totally different psychological profile to the Saturday when I've got a 14-year-old kid who can already do an inversion, right?
That's right. Right. I'm quite good mates with a guy called Tom Gherkin Schofield who skis kind of World Cup for Great Britain, and when he talks about the stuff he does, it's just a different world. Like, pro mogul skiing. It's not skiing. It's so highly specialised. And he's it's extraordinary. And the other thing I was going to say about that is I just bought myself, weirdly, I went to go and get my boots set up recently by a secret boot man in Geneva, and a secret boot man in Geneva did a great job, and if you want to know who Secret Boot Man is, listener, you can message me. But he sorted me out with some great new liners. Really looking forward to skiing my new boots. But at the same time, I had a chance to try on some full tilt boots, which a lot of the Mogul guys use. Yeah. And I was like, wow, these are a revelation. Like, one, so easy to get on, which and secondly, the way they flex is really, really interesting. So I'm very, very interested to go and sort of take these out and see what they're like on the mountain. Actually, to see if they might even just be like a general kind of year-round, general kind of ski teaching boot, because they are so incredibly comfortable and so quick. The amount of time that I would save trying to get my feet in and out of liners and the head raptor in the car park each day would be just immense. So you're gonna have a look at that this year and just see what that kind of boot is, because I know that's widely used in the kind of the mogul community.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely the boot du jour right now. It's interesting the weekend because a lot of these kids are dual disciplines, so they might specialize in the bumps, but they're also in the park as well. So most of them are on the full tilt boot. Quite a few of them are experimenting in almost that that boot now that crosses in between backcountry and on piste skiing, right? It's still a higher end boot, but and then also just literally a quiver of skis. So they've got the mogul skis predominantly, and then also moving into the park ski, and then if we decide we're going into one of the bowls, they then go and grab another pair of skis as well. It's just at the bottom of one of the runs there is just a full array of skis that would make anybody happy, right? So you talk about that as well, and obviously I turn up to most of these things in a ski that most of them laugh at because they're too turny. But I think for those guys, the boots. I would say it's probably 80% in the full tilt at the moment.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. I'm just bought it, just curious, because they were so comfy in the shop, and I thought to myself, well, just go for it, whatever. The worst it can do is just sit in the cupboard. But
I'm sure you needed another pair.
Oh yeah, I took a picture. Oh my god, took a picture of my motorbike earlier for something or other I've installed on it, and in the background is just like this wall of skis. And I just don't. Out of all of that wall of skis, I ski about 2 pairs of them. I don't know why I'm keeping them all. It's just skis and boots everywhere.
Oh yeah. You end up with your favourites, right? And that's, and it is interesting. I mean, I think definitely in recent years I've ended up skiing. I probably don't need to mention brands and stuff, but the particular manufacturer, and they make a what would be classed in our world as a twin tip ski.
What is it? You can mention. Just tell me. It's cool. What are you skiing?
Yeah, so I ski on the Nordica ski, and there's this Soul Rider. I don't know if you have those.
No, I've not heard of that.
Too much.
No.
But certainly for me, it's still a 16-meter radius ski, so it's still got lots of turn in it. But I mean, I do find it's just fantastic in the bumps. It's just a great all-mountain ski. That'll do a little bit of everything on, right? So I can kind of feel like I can move out of all the different types of lessons you've got and still be able to achieve something, right?
It's nice, Dave, if you can find that one ski that does it all. Is great.
Definitely. And then I'm sure, like all of us, right? And then it still feels great to put on something that's a little bit turnier. And then again, out here when we do have those big snow days, like you said, now I'm getting into a 120 kind of huge ski. So yeah.
Oh yeah. You have days where there's enough snow to run a 120.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we have some, and definitely some steeper stuff if we're skiing at 30 or panorama. If we're in the Tainton Bowl, that kind of thing. It's still nice to get a big ski out like that. Yeah.
Okay. Huh, that's interesting. I've got myself a ski in the cupboard, which I need to find a binding for. So I've got, it's like my biggest, fattest ski I think I've had for a long time. It's only an 89 underfoot, but that'll be more than enough for the sort of skiing we have around here, because we don't get those kind of days, those kind of mega days very often. And even if there is, a 90 will be just fine for me, the way that I like to ski. But
the way you go. Yeah, we definitely got some. There's some steep terrain here. I mean, we'll still get some amazing, powder days. Sunshine Lake Louise this year, was getting snow all the way right through to the end of the season. I mean, it's amazing, really. Like Sunshine, is open until May 20th. So it's a really long season. And, they were getting huge snowfalls there towards the last few weeks for sure.
Yeah. No, I bought these skis because I kind of I went out on a day. We had one of our training days coincided with a really quite a big powder day, unexpected one, and I kind of didn't really. For some reason, I'd sold my powder skis to somebody else, like just like one of my mates. I was just like, why did I do that? So I rock up for this this day on this pair of 74s or something, and all the other guys just sending it on their powder skis, and I'm like, yeah, I've probably got to join this game. Like I can still do it on a pair of 74s, and it was fun because it was quite deep in it, but it was definitely easier for them, and they were able to kind of do it. They weren't working so hard. So I need to mount those up at some point with a binding and get them ready. Which is,
like you said, you can pull it off, but it's nowhere near it. You get a big ski on a big powder day.
I think on that particular day, it was just too deep to be skiing 74s. It was just too deep, too heavy in certain spots. It was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. I'll join this, but I'm not going to join it too much. I'm not going to go water skiing.
You're right. Yeah. Well, the year before we have a big cat skiing operation here. It's probably top 10 in the world, and during COVID, all their clientele is US based really. So they didn't have that audience coming in, so they did a locals price. So we got a chance to ski somewhere that is way beyond my budget for a very reasonable price. And I turn up with I got 112 wide enforcer, and the guy who's leading the group just laughed and said, "Well, you're not going to do very well on that." And
what, are you serious?
Get something that was like 125. Yeah.
What? Come on. Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I turned up. I got the narrowest ski out of 12 people in the cat.
Yeah, but it can't have been that bad. It can't have been so deep that a 112 wouldn't have worked. Sure.
No, it was still good, but just interesting, right? They just get used to just skiing on that side of ski all day. I mean, the terrain is phenomenal. It's like 8,000 acres. It's crazy.
And do you get that? Presumably, you get the cold snow. Do you like the fluffy stuff?
Very dry. We still get that dry snow up here. It's not often wet. As you move further across the coast to Whistler, you're getting that wetter snow. But here we're dry powder most of the time. Yeah.
Lucky you, because we often get the wet stuff because we're fairly low lying, and it just every now and then you get in January you get a really cold one.
Right.
And they're the days, but as you go later into the season, it's just wet stuff. You have to ski it all in like 2 or 3 hours, otherwise it just is, it's horrible.